I'm going to talk a little bit about a band called Three Dog Night that will receive absolutely no airplay on any corporate owned radio station nowadays. And by corporate owned, I mean probably like 90% of all the radio stations in the US are owned by big conglomerate companies such as Cumulus Media, Clear Channel, Town Square Media, iHeartRadio, and it's quite funny how some of those are in debt. I mean, Town Square Media is in about $30 million of debt, and iHeartRadio is in about $6 billion of debt. It kind of makes you wonder why, but anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about this band, how popular they were, some of the things about them, and the fact that they don't receive airplay anymore. I made a list too. There's so much about them that I made a list so I wouldn't forget to talk about anything. So, in case you don't know, this is basically a band that had constant hits from the late 60s to the mid 70s. They were constantly making hits on the charts, never off the charts, basically. Biggest band in the US and probably one of the biggest in Canada from 69 to 75. In between that same period, they sold around 50 to 55 million records worldwide. Nowadays, the estimate is around 90 million worldwide. So they're one of the best selling bands of all time. And you won't see that on Wikipedia, though, even though the page I'm showing you is from Wikipedia. I created this myself and I updated it because currently the Three Dog Night Wikipedia page is out of date. And if you try updating the information, people will delete it. And they say, well, that citation doesn't have that, or that's not good enough, or there's no proof. So I just created it myself. Back to the point. They had 21 consecutive top 40 hits on Billboard Hot 100 chart in the US, 18 of which are top 20, also in the US. Anybody else do that during that time? I don't think so. Biggest band in the US from 69 to 75 in terms of concert tickets sold and records sold and chart damage, basically. 8 number one singles in the US, and I'll show that to you here. Right down here, like I said, the current Three Dog Night discography, or I guess you would pronounce it discography, on Wikipedia has a lot of this chart information removed because after somebody put all this in, all these different charts, Cashbox, Radio and Records, Record World, AC, they put all this in, and then somebody removed it, and I asked them why, and they said, well, it seemed kind of messy. So I've updated it all and stuff and changed some things and added stuff, and here it is, back to what it should be. So this is basically the chart damage. Number one, number one, number one, number one, number one, 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 one. The amount of hits these guys had is freaking ridiculous. 7 platinum and 2 gold singles in the US. That's not counting any other country. I'm sure they have. I mean, look at the streak here from right here all the way down to Black and White in Canada. Top 10 and top 5 consecutive streak right there. And I'll talk about that later too. 7 platinum and 2 gold singles in the US. So that's what? 14, 15, 16 million copies of singles right there in the US alone. Certified. Still plenty more than that. Joy to the World right here is one of the best selling singles of all time and sold over 5 million copies worldwide, although you will not hear it getting any airplay on an iHeartRadio station. And it also was the most popular single in the US of 1971. Biggest selling song, most popular. In the Canada too. Went gold in Canada, went gold in Japan. I mean, that song is huge. Everybody knows Jeremiah was a bullfrog. 13 platinum and 2 gold albums in the US. You can see platinum, the compilations, Platinum, The Lives, right here. All these are all their studio albums from 68, 74, all went platinum, and this one in 75 went gold. Look at that. 21 consecutive top 30 hits in Canada, 13 of which are consecutive top 10, like I was saying, and 2 of them are number 1. People complain that this is also kind of saying that they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. People complain that they're not in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they don't write their own songs, which they did, but the songs that were hits weren't written by them, but they wrote B-sides and stuff and album cuts. But they did write their own material, and frequently it was very good. Basically, what they did with their hits was they exposed up-and-coming songwriters, and some of which were struggling. And I remember their 1974 single, I think it's Sure As I'm Sitting Here, right here, by John Hyatt. And I think the story with that one went he came home one day and his wife committed suicide, but then Three Dog Night, because they couldn't pay their rent, and they were in such financial trouble, but then Three Dog Night released that as a single and had a hit with it, and then after that, his life basically turned around. That's what they did. They took songs that failed on initial release and turned them into hits. How many people can do that? Not many. Elton John is another one of them, the songwriters. On their album here, Suitable for Framing, they covered one of his songs called Lady Samantha, and on It Ain't Easy, they covered Your Song, which of course was his breakthrough hit. And the band on purpose didn't release it as a single so he could have a hit with it. And so it's kind of interesting to think that had Three Dog Night not covered his songs, Elton John may have never had a career. Just think about that for a second. We may have, the public, as we know it, the world may have never known Elton John and all the music he created without Three Dog Night. They no longer receive airplay, like I said, on corporate-owned radio stations, despite how popular they were. Biggest band for 6 years consecutively, and all these consecutive hits, consecutive everything, consecutive gold platinum albums, etc. I went through the discography. And like I said, the guy said it seemed kind of messy, so he removed all this chart information and he took it down to the bare bones, basically. And that's one of the reasons I saw this recently too, before making this video, that Wikipedia was begging for financial support again, because less than 2% of their readers give. Well, how I'm treated on this site, I can see why. I contribute to these pages, and another one, I was contributing to a page, and it was a dead page, by the way, of this one guy. I changed all the information, I updated it to be factual, because the stuff on there was out of date and it was wrong. And then right after that, somebody removed it, and they said, you got to have a citation for that and stuff. And I told them, well, it's a dead page, and the stuff that was there before me, before I fixed it, didn't have a citation either. So it didn't. What was the point? So that shouldn't have been there in the first place, I told them. It's like, God. Wikipedia, that's one of the many reasons why I will never financially support Wikipedia. It's a great place for information that may or may not be true. Usually it's true, I guess. And their album here, Coming Down Your Way, which is one of my favorite and one of the best of all time, in my opinion, right here. It did go gold. Even one of the band members himself said it has. And I tried adding that to the Wikipedia site a long time ago. And it said, and somebody removed it later, of course, because it wasn't, RIAA, this right here. They certify, sales of music in the U.S. Well, it wasn't on their website, so they removed it. Even though one of the band members themselves said it went gold. In RIAA, that's one of those sites like, one of the companies like Billboard magazine that I would never trust. I would never trust them. The certifications are so out of date. It's like one day, all of a sudden, Whitney Houston, all of her songs got certified triple platinum when they hadn't gone updated in 30 years or 20 years. It's ridiculous. They're so lazy. I wouldn't trust them. That's why I had to update all these myself. because I had to go by what band members have said. Chuck Negron, in particular, one of the three lead singers, he said all this went platinum and stuff. He has the sales himself, but it's not updated on RIAA. And the band nowadays is basically led by two members. Uh, they came to where I live not that long ago, but I didn't go and see them because it was a 200-mile drive on a Thursday night. I didn't go and see him because there's only two original members left, that being one of the singers and the Geodude player. By that I mean guitar, aka another word for that. And the singer that's left, Chuck Negron's still alive. The other one, Corey Wells, he's dead. He was replaced, of course. Keyboard player's dead. He was replaced. Bass player's dead. He's replaced. The singer that's with the band currently, as of the time of this video, Danny, I guess it's pronounced Hutton, he basically, the only thing he did important in this band is form it, and he did the least. He sung on the lead on the least amount of hits, and he did the least amount of songs and everything, basically. Because around from 72 here, from Seven Separate Fools on, he didn't want to show up for recording sessions and stuff, and at the end of 75, after coming down your way in the tour, he was fired because he wasn't showing up. Yet he's the one in the band currently. Technically, Chuck Negron, the guy that sings on all these songs, Pieces of April, Let Show Must Go On, Till the World Ends. I mean, Chuck Negron and Corey Wells, one of which is dead, sang lead on most of these. Danny only had on two, yet he's in the band. It makes no sense. In their 50th anniversary, as you know, they basically had their first breakthrough hit, which would be One, right here, in 69. So their 50th anniversary happened in 2019, yet they did absolutely nothing to celebrate it. They're touring, because, Danny, he can't get enough money, or maybe he's just bored. But they're touring, but they haven't released a new album, they haven't released a new compilation album or anything live or anything. Absolutely nothing. It's just crickets with this band. It's dead. They're not releasing anything, they're just touring. Touring constantly, basically. Take a break once in a while. Right now, I think they're on a Christmas break, and they're going to resume touring in January 2020. But it's like, God, is it dead? Some bands are really active in putting out material, like America. America is another one, the soft rock band. They've been releasing compilations and live albums constantly because they're celebrating the 15th anniversary. Three Dog Night, nothing. Dead. Just silent. I even said to him on his website, I sent a message to the band on their website one time, giving them ideas to celebrate their 50th anniversary, stuff they could release. That'd be easy, instead of doing new material. I never heard back. They haven't done a new studio album or a full one since 76, so it's only 43 years ago. And apparently they were doing a new one in about 2008, 2007, 2009, in that area, but it never was released. They released like two songs as a single in 2009, and that was it. It was just abandoned, and nobody ever said anything about it since. A band that's quite a shell of its former self nowadays. It's not like Badfinger. Three Dog Night is not like Badfinger, where all the members are dead, basically, except the bass player, I think. In Badfinger, the bass player, I think that's the only guy that's left. He can go around touring as Badfinger because he's the only guy left. Three Dog Night, there's a lot of the members, even the members that came around in 74, 75, 76 to fill in for the people that bailed. They're around, but they're not part of the band. It's just two of them. It's a joke. But people still go see them, of course, because they're uneducated and stuff. I mean, they sure... I've seen them, Danny and Michael, the two people left. They put on a good show, of course, but... Anyway, just like to make some commentary about that, and they receive zero airplay nowadays.